with a 1 week goal, a 1 month goal, and a 90-day goal. That's how you, number one, have something to shoot for. Number two, you have a way to measure if you're on pace or not. Even at the end of 1 week, if you're not where you want to be, it's like, okay, I wasn't far off. I missed it a little bit, but now I have another few weeks to hit my 1 month goal. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and keep going because I still have a target. I'm not derailed.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Harder Show, where we are making you unapologetic about your pursuit of success, knowing that when good people like you make good money, they can then do great things. My name is Chris Harder, and several times per week, I will bring you epic guests, solo episodes, and every single tool, trick, and skill set you need to grow your business, grow your money mindset, and to grow your wealth to levels that you have never reached before. I've ended up in a unique place in life where I've got the experience, the connections, and all of the secrets that it takes to be successful. And I'm lifting the curtain to reveal it all to you in an effort to help put you in a position of abundance so great that you can then be as generous as possible. So let's lock arms and let's get started.
And we're back.
With another episode of He Said, She Said.
All right, babe, kick us off with a glossy tip.
So the holidays are officially upon us.
My mother freaking favorite time of the year.
We have watched no less than 5
Hallmark
Christmas
movies
already.
It's only the beginning of November.
I went to Crate and Barrel yesterday and I got some fun holiday stuff for the house. It already smells like fir trees in here.
Which was so nice to come home to, by the way, because I was in Virginia with my team and walked in. I was like, oh my God, Christmas happened.
I have Christmas music on. I need a solid 2 months. So my glossy tip is there is no better gift wrapped under the tree than a glossy starter kit. I'm telling you, this water bottle is so chic. The box is so incredibly cute. The starter kit box is this perfect lilac purple. It's a really substantial size box, so you can wrap it up.
Looks like a nice gift.
You can write a nice note and they can take it immediately. So imagine if they can open that right away or you gift it to a friend and they can start taking it that day to start having even more glowing skin, to feel better, to feel less bloated, to feel hydrated. And you're giving the gift of wellness and simplicity in their beauty routine.
And I should clarify, because you mentioned the beautiful water bottle. It's the water bottle that you only get as a starter kit and, of course, the box of Glossy.
Correct.
Right? So, and it comes in a beautiful box that itself looks like a gift, but you can wrap it if you want. Here's the best part about getting it during the holidays. Let's be honest. We feel pretty bloated during the holidays.
Yes.
This is your battle against the bloat during the holidays. So you're actually giving them a gift to get rid of the bloat.
So we were just up at One Hope Winery and we were doing a women's mastermind up there. And I had brought the water bottles and boxes for everybody there. And I'm not kidding you. We were doing like our winery tour and almost all of us had our water bottles in our hands with a wine glass in the other hand. And we were just like, we're gonna stay hydrated and feeling good because these women are all super high achievers, but we also want to have fun and go drink some wine. But I'm like, okay, well, if we can combat this and we can stay really hydrated and feel better, why wouldn't we do that? So
I love it.
We were like double fisting.
I love it. Okay, so go to getglossy.com. That's getglossy, Gloci, getglossy.com, and get 25% off this gift that you're going to get for somebody.
With code HAPPY.
With code HAPPY. You got to use HAPPY at checkout. Getglossy.com, use code HAPPY at checkout, get 25% off, best gift on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned that you were up in Napa and you were with all the girls and, a bunch of high performers. You guys were talking about your New Year plans. And I know you did part of this exercise that we love doing. And it's basically the 3P New Year business plan, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, what's 3P? Well, we're going to explain it. It's purpose. It's what's your priorities. And of course, it's what's your plan, right? Mm-hmm. What's your measurable plan? So walk us through the 3P New Year business plan.
Okay. So the 3Ps it's essentially just the 3 pillars: purpose, priorities, and a plan. So the first one is purpose. What is the purpose of your business? You guys, this is something that you can do. Actually, if you want to kind of do it with us while we're on the podcast, you can just pause us during this as we're describing it. So the first one is purpose. This takes about 5 minutes. I would just journal and start writing brief answers to what is the core purpose of my business. And so I just wrote some things down. So Chris and I are going to really go into depth. Him and I do an actual New Year's thing that's very much like this. We might teach even more in depth on this in the future. Stay tuned. We're putting some fun plans for you together. but I had written some things down before this podcast so that I could get you really clear on some of your stuff. So, what is the purpose of my business, right? You want to write 3 things. So, for me, one of them I wrote, help as many people as possible to simplify their wellness and beauty routines. That's purpose 1. And then purpose 2 is to connect women in the community to share what's possible. So Glossy is really about proving what's possible for women, and especially when women come together. We have all of these female investors. I've pivoted many, many times in my career. As a lot of you guys know, I didn't graduate high school. Like, I know that myself and Glossy are here to prove what is possible for women if you're willing to come together and you're willing to ask and you're willing to put in the work. And then 3, my other purpose is to create that community of affiliates and partners so that they can make income. So those are the 3 main purposes of my business.
Okay. I want to play 2. I've got Frello, which we're about to launch. And I've got, of course, the mastermind, which you're now a part of. I'll use the mastermind for this one. So like for purpose, you said it's got to be 3 things. The first purpose of the mastermind is to give you a community where you can share ideas that you wouldn't otherwise be sharing with each other. That becomes the shortcut to where you're trying to go. Yes. Otherwise, you literally won't have these conversations unless you have a community like this. Second purpose of the mastermind is to give you a container where you can learn from our highest performing friends and us. Like, one of the cool things about our network is we ask our highest performing friends, hey, would you fly in? Would you teach for 90 minutes? Or, would you do Q&A, that kind of thing. And you learn literally like lifting the curtain to what the highest performers in the freaking world are doing in person. That's the second one. Then the third purpose is to, and this will sound like the first one, but it's different because the first one was a community exchange ideas. Yeah. This is a community to kick you back in the game when you encounter headwinds. I watched it happen this year. I watch it happen every year. And sometimes the most valuable part of the mastermind for many of the people in there is not what they learned, even though that's awesome. It's not who they met, even though that's awesome. It's that somebody kicked them back in the game when they thought that they couldn't take another step.
I can't imagine if I didn't have that in my life. You would have never have heard of this podcast or my name if it weren't for other people and making sure I had that support.
Yeah. So that'd be the 3 purposes of the mastermind. You gave the 3 purposes of Glossy. After you have your purposes, your 3 purposes, now you got to start looking at those and draw your priorities to achieve those purposes.
So the second P is priorities. And underneath number 1, which was help as many people as possible to simplify their wellness and beauty routines, I have my 3 priorities under each one. These are top priorities that align most closely with the purpose and also the potential for the brand. And this is in a measurable way. So I don't have my numbers around this yet, but I'll give you an idea of what I wrote down. So to help as many people as possible to simplify their wellness and beauty routines, I will need to grow my email list. So I will also need, number 2 would be to increase my social engagement and increase social numbers. Number 3 would be to work on my lead magnets and my funnels as well. So these are the 3 things that I will be working on within the company to help as many people as possible to simplify their wellness and beauty routines. So from there, what I would do is obviously create measurable goals around each one.
And that's the third P. That's the plan.
Yep. So the third P would be the planning, and it would be to create measurable goals around each one of those things that I just said. But I do want to walk through what my 3 are under each one.
Okay, you go first, and I want to share a great way to do the goal. So you share the goals.
Okay, just so you guys get a good idea, because I think a lot of these relate exactly to you, all of you as well. You have a similar business to mine, even if it's not a product. This obviously can apply to business coaching, a digital product, whatever that
everyone
looks like.
has a product, whether it's digital or physical.
Yes. So my number 2 was to connect women in the community and share what's possible. So my 3 priorities for that would be to schedule community events, to work on better content for my already existing community calls, and then to create a social strategy for sharing a clear and empowering message about the story on a regular basis with a call to action, like a ManyChat call to action. And then my number 3 was grow the community of affiliates and partners so they can make income. And my priorities under that would be to, number 1 was work on messaging on social for a call to action. Number 2 was create an outreach strategy and many chat strategy to grow those affiliate partners. And then number 3 is create a strategic partner plan and a competitive compensation plan for those very strategic partners. Now is the planning portion. So
Okay, now becomes a measurable plan.
yes.
Okay. And this is where I was saying, when we run our masterminds, when we run our roundtables, which is like a 2-day mastermind, anytime that we do anything in a group setting to make sure that people walk away with a plan, we do this big, long, like journal writing thing, and then we eliminate things, we highlight things, we prioritize things, kind of similar to what you're doing right now.
Mhm.
But here's the important part. When it comes to the measurable goals, when you leave there, we make everybody drop these into a 1 week, 1 month, or 90-day deadline.
Mhm.
And when you create your measurable plans with a 1 week goal, a 1 month goal, and a 90-day goal, that's how you, number 1, have something to shoot for,
Mhm.
because you got to have a target. Number 2, you have a way to measure if you're on pace or not. And even if you miss it, that's okay. You know where your next target is, so you can do a little catching up.
Yes.
Most people unravel because they make like in this case, they got their priorities and they make their plan. And then a week goes by and they haven't even taken much action on it. And they say, oh, well, I guess I suck at this, and everything unravels. But when you break your measurable plan down into a 1 week goal and a 1 month goal and a 90-day goal, even at the end of 1 week, if you're not where you want to be, it's like, okay, I wasn't far off. I missed it a little bit, but now I have another few weeks to hit my 1 month goal. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and keep going because I still have a target. I'm not derailed.
Yeah. And what I want you guys all to hear is that when you, first of all, get clear, and from getting clear to integration to seeing a result, there is a 3 to 6 month period there, whether you want to hear that or not. You know, whenever I was hiring different teams for Glossy in the beginning, there is expectations up front from every single partner that I would bring on. And they say, you know, it takes us typically a solid 3 months to get this plan up and going. So we can't even start looking at the numbers until month 3. Like, we need to get the data, we need to get people in place, we need to figure out what's going on. So for some of you, you're going to be able to integrate this much quicker. But I also want to set the expectation that if you're getting these plans in place and getting it rolling and just even trying to figure out what that looks like, give yourself like a 3-month grace period to really start even understanding what those goals should be. So like Chris had said, you know, sometimes we start this process and don't see anything happen. Now, there's a difference between you not taking action and if you are taking action but still not seeing a result. Give yourself some time, because in the beginning, you are picking a goal, an arbitrary goal. Like, you're picking from a number you've never necessarily done before. You're just randomly picking it. So what's also going to happen is by month 3, you should have a more realistic goal that you can set for the next 3 months.
Yeah, I love that. So let's start to recap for everybody. It's purpose, and you got to come up with 3 purposes. Then it is priorities related to those purposes. 3 priorities related to those 3 purposes. And then it is, what are your 3 plans? And if you want to do it the way that I love doing it with groups, let's chunk that down into a 1 week plan, a 1 month plan, and a 90-day plan. Because then at the end of the 90 days, you get to reassess. Is it working? Is it not? And you got something to measure. Am I on pace? Am I not? And you've got deadlines, which makes you sprint a little bit harder.
Yeah, I love that. You know, at first I was like, ooh, 1 week, that feels like way too much planning. But I like looking at 1 week. I think it's important to do that, to say, okay, what does this actually look like in integration? So that first week is going to be just like very heavy with activity. Like, this is what you'll be doing in order to hit that thing.
Exactly.
So otherwise you kind of look at it and go, okay, yeah, I want 2,000 new email subscribers in the next 90 days.
Yep.
But then you go, well, what would that look like on a weekly basis? Okay, well, we would do this many posts on social. We would set up our many chat flow so that people start getting into it. Okay, this is what we'll start posting this week.
Yep. Those are your 1 week things.
Yes.
Here's why. When you say, okay, I want 2,000 new people on my list, that's too big of a bite of the apple, and you don't get a fast enough start.
Right.
But when you create the 1 week goal and the 1 month goal and the 90-day goal is the 2,000 people, now it creates a fast start, taking the actions that you would otherwise delay, especially where's my procrastinators out there, right? You're a big idea person, but you don't get the fast start. That's why it's so valuable to chunk it down into, what's my 1 week plan? What is my 1 month plan and what is my 90-day plan?
And I want to tell you that if this feels overwhelming, because I just named a lot of different things in my business that I am doing in the new year, and it's overwhelming to me, but I have teams and I have different people to integrate it. So if you're working on a small operation, or right now, if it's just you, pick one of these priorities. And I'm telling that will be enough to move the needle, because in the beginning, you're really just trying to figure out what the one thing is that you do well. And then you can build from there. When you start getting some income from there, that's when you hire someone for the next thing.
Yep. Love it. Okay. Well, listen, if this felt overwhelming, go to the show notes. The 3P New Year Business Plan is there, and you can just follow it right there. And if you feel like, if you heard us mention the mastermind, and you feel like you want to learn from Lori and I in person and lock arms for the next year, all of 2025, with the incredible other high-performing mastermind members that are in there, plus the friends that we bring in to teach, plus the two of us, you'll see all the features when we have a chat. This is by far the best mastermind available out there. I've got no problem saying that, because I know how much we put into it. And 8 years into it, we have all the evidence that it works. The catch is this: you have to be making over $500,000 or more to join our elite level mastermind. So if that's going to be you in 2025, let's do a quick interview together to see if it's a good fit. Hit pause and go to chrisharder.me/mastermind to apply for Lori's and my elite level mastermind. Again, that is chrisharder.me/mastermind. Click apply, fill it out. We'll jump on Zoom. We'll see if you're a good fit.
All right, we will talk to you next week. I'd love to hear in the DMs, guys. Shoot me a DM if you ended up doing this and if this helped. I always love hearing who's listening to this podcast. And we will talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode and know of someone else who is as successful as they are generous, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world to me if you help me get this cause and this message out to as many listeners as I can. So please, if you liked what you heard, it goes a long way if you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. And until the next episode, cheers to your success.